Hello, students. Hope you all are staying safe and healthy and are doing good at your respective places. First of all, many congratulations to all for being promoted in the next higher class. Since it is your very first day in the new class, so a very warm welcome to all of you to your new class, that is class 8th. This is Prerna Kaushik, your new science teacher, going to be with you in this new session. So, we are going to start the study for the new session from today itself. Now, coming to the topic. So, today we are going to start with a new chapter, crop production and management. It is a very interesting chapter. In this, you learn about the different types of crops, about how the crops are grown, everything that you need to know about the agricultural practices, and it also tells you about the animal husbandry. So, first of all, let us try to understand some basic terms before we deep dwell into the chapter. Alright. So, the first term is agriculture. Cultivating soil for growing crops and nurturing animals to provide food and other products. This is what you call agriculture. In simple terms, you can say the science of raising crops and animals is what agriculture. Usually, when you think about agriculture, we would think about growing plants, right? But that is not it. It involves two things. It involves growing crops and it also involves nurturing animals for the purpose of, food and other products that we get from animals and plants. Alright, so agriculture means that. Let us look at the next term, crops. Crops basically mean the same kinds of plants being cultivated on a large scale. So, when I say a crop of rice, it basically means a field which only has rice plants and nothing else. And if you say a crop of wheat, then it would mean field which only has wheat plants. Alright, so that is what we mean by crop. Next comes the types of crops. So, crops can be classified into three types. Basically, there are three bases of classification. First, you can classify the crops based on the lifespan. You can classify them on the basis of season of cultivation, and you can also classify them on the basis of their use. So, based on lifespan, basically there are three types of crops: annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annual crops are those which complete their life cycle in 1 year or simply in one season. Examples are wheat and pea. Biennials are those crops which complete their life cycle in 2 years or they require 2 seasons to complete their life cycle. Examples: carrot, radish. Perennials which live for more than 5, 10, 15 years. Examples: ginger, pine, etc. On the basis of their use, you can classify the crops as food crops and cash crops. Food crops are generally grown to fulfill the basic food requirements. In these, you can include the cereals, the pulses, etc. Cash crops are basically grown for commercial purposes. These are also called as plantation crops. Examples are tea, coffee, sugarcane, rubber, etc. The most important basis of classification of crops is classifying them on the basis of their season of cultivation. And on that basis, crops are basically of two types: Kharif crops and Rabi crops. Kharif crops are basically sown during the rainy season. Now, why are they sown during the rainy season? It is because they require a lot of water. These are sown between June or July and are harvested in September to October. These are also called as summer crops. Examples of Kharif crops are rice, maize, pulses, cotton, soybean, etc. The next type of crops on the basis of season are Rabi crops. These are the crops which are sown in winter season, generally in October to November, and are harvested in March to April. These are also called as winter crops. If we talk about the examples of rabi crops, these include wheat, gram, pea, mustard, etc. So you have learned about the types of crops. Now to raise the crops successfully, we have to follow certain steps. To have a bumper produce, we need to follow several practices step by step, and we need to use a variety of tools. These practices are called as basic agricultural practices, or you can say basic practices of crop production. So, what are the steps of crop production? So, now we are going to look at the crop production process. So, there are 7 steps. First is, of course, the preparation of the soil. Second is sowing, when you sow the seed. Third is adding manure and fertilizers. Fourth is irrigation, which basically means watering the plants at regular intervals or whenever required. Fifth is removal of weeds. And now, why we require removal of weeds? To make sure that plants are growing healthy and the plants are not competing for nutrients, water, and sunlight with other plants which do not belong there. Sixth is harvesting, and the seventh step is storage of grains. So let's start with the first step of crop production process, which is preparation of the soil. Soil preparation is necessary for the growth of healthy and bumper crop. Now, soil preparation involves 2 steps. The first is plowing and another is leveling. The process of loosening and turning the soil is called plowing or tilling. Now, let's try to understand how tilling or plowing is done. There are certain agricultural instruments which are used for tilling and plowing in the field. These are wooden plow, hoe, and cultivator. Plow is a T-shaped instrument in which a triangular iron strip is attached to a long wooden log. It is generally drawn by a pair of bullocks or horses. So you can see in the picture the implements used for plowing. Basically, there are 3 implements which are used for plowing: plow, hoe, and cultivator. As I explained, plow is a T-shaped instrument in which triangular iron strip is attached to a long wooden log. Okay, it is generally drawn by a pair of bullocks or horses. You can say it is a manual method of loosening the soil. Next is your hoe. It is made of a long rod of wood or iron. A broad bent iron plate is attached to one end. It works like a blade and also used for tilling and removing weeds. Next is your cultivator. It is much advanced, used for plowing. It is a much advanced tool that is used for plowing nowadays. It is a tractor which is used for plowing. It saves time and labor. Okay, so I hope these 3 implements that are used for plowing are clear to you. Let me show you the pictures of plow. You can see in this picture a wooden plow and iron plow. Wooden plow is a manual method for plowing, and iron plow, it can be used with a tractor, okay, to plow the field. Now next comes leveling. Now what is leveling? Before going to leveling, you might wonder what is actually the need of plowing? Why plowing is done? Well, plowing loosens the soil and it allows easy and deeper penetration of the roots. You know, a plant usually takes its water and minerals from the roots. So, the plant would efficiently take the water and minerals with the help of roots from the soil when it is loosened and turned. Nutrients deep in the soil come to the top layer of the soil, which supports growth and nourishment of plants. So the third reason why plowing is done, because it promotes growth of microorganisms like earthworms and microbes who further turn the soil and add humus. So the next step comes in the preparation of soil, which is leveling. So leveling involves breaking big pieces or lumps of soil. It is done by using wooden plank or an iron leveler. You can see the wooden leveler and iron leveler in the diagram. So in this chapter, what we learned? We learned about agriculture, we learned about the crops, the types of crops. Let me show you the pictures of crops. So these are your cereals: wheat, rice, maize, bajra, jowar, and your pulses like pigeon pea, urad, lentils, peas, black gram, oilseed crops which include soybean, groundnut, sunflower, Niger, sesame, castor, mustard, linseed. Next comes your root crops which includes turnip, sweet potato, carrot. Then sugar crops. It includes sugarcane, beetroot. Then comes your fiber crops which includes cotton, jute. Then comes your cash crops, or you can say plantation crops: tea, coconut, coffee, rubber. Fodder crops, which are usually cultivated to feed the domestic animals. These include basim, elephant grass. So, that's it for today's session. Now, for the homework, please read the chapter from your books up to the topic we have covered in this session. See you in the next session. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Take care.